Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the BroadBoys podcast. I'm Cade. This is Micah.
Yo.
Welcome to episode 25.
That's crazy.
Quarter of 100, half of 50.
Those are numbers.
Yeah, those are the numbers. Those are the numbers. And speaking of numbers, the numbers are saying Microsoft might be throwing in the towel. What numbers are saying that? I don't know. But with the news articles that I've seen and their business decisions have contributed to me thinking that.
Yes.
So, Micah, you have seen, I assume, the Everything is an Xbox campaign.
Yes, I have.
So
it is really funny to watch. This is an Xbox. That's an Xbox.
And then they always do this is like a different kind of box. You know, that's their whole marketing right now. I have to say it's a decent pivot.
It is.
It's a decent pivot. They're going into this generation against the PS5. They bring out the Xbox One X or Xbox One S, which I think suffers from the Wii U naming convention, of course. And then they just don't have any software that's exclusive to the Xbox to want to play and pick it up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I know people that have picked up an Xbox and were disappointed because they're like, Game Pass is good, but I forgot about these Sony games that I wanted to play and I just can't play it.
Yeah, Game Pass is good, but you can do it on your computer.
Exactly. So, and I think they've realized that more and more, and they're really going all in on the Game Pass. So if the Game Pass doesn't work out for them, then they're done.
They're just going to buy more companies.
But they're already done with really the hardware side, I think. You know, I think they're going into the whole we're the Netflix of gaming. I think it's a good decision.
You know, I think it's great. I'm excited to see if they succeed because there are so many people who have tried this sort of like play on whatever device you want type of thing.
Yeah,
and
we saw it
completely failed.
We saw it with Google Stadia.
Yep, Stadia.
Other cloud gaming services.
I think Stadia is probably the biggest failure of them all because there was so much put into it. They even held like Stadia competitions and stuff where you would compete competitively but using Stadia.
Yeah.
And it was so goofy.
Which is crazy. It's like playing a game blindfolded.
Yeah, for real.
But with input lag instead.
Yep.
So I think it'll be interesting to see what Microsoft does with it. Like for software, like they've just said, hey, we're going to put a lot of our exclusives, quote unquote, on Switch. They're going to...
Yeah, that's the really interesting thing is they announced at... what is it called? Their showcase that they did last week.
Developer Direct.
The Developer Direct. They announced that at least initially with the Switch 2 drop, there's going to be 5 Xbox exclusives. I don't know that they're actually going to be exclusives. I don't know that they have 5 exclusives to put on there.
5 Xbox-owned titles.
Yes, there we go.
Are going to be on the Switch 2.
Yeah.
So,
which will be really interesting. Imagine Call of Duty on the Switch 2.
That wouldn't play that well, in my opinion. But it'd be interesting.
Fortnite plays decently.
Yeah. And I think what a lot of gaming companies are realizing when it comes to PC at least is that it's actually a huge chunk of the market. Like a lot bigger chunk that you're missing out on not at least investing in some PC ports.
Yeah, because when consoles first came out, right, your PC market was what, 20% of gamers who were buying things?
If 20%.
That. And now I think it's overtaken console sales in total, if I'm not mistaken.
It's very close.
It's very close.
In total, I think it is. See, the way that they count the statistic is a little weird.
Well,
so I think it is technically PC.
It's based off of AAA titles sold. If you go games as a whole, more games are purchased on PC, obviously, because everyone with a bad PC can still play Stardew Valley, for instance, right? Yeah. And so, you know, total games sold is on PC, but they might still have it for AAA titles.
Yeah. And so we're seeing Microsoft do that and Sony putting their exclusives on PC, though not Bloodborne yet, but we'll get there.
Someday.
Hopefully. Or, we'll just have a version that we can play on our PCs anyway.
Yep.
But we're also seeing Sony and Nintendo collaboration in a way that we haven't seen before either.
Yeah.
So
the big news there is that what was the game called?
Sony game.
No, the Switch game.
Oh, Fantasy Life.
Yeah, Fantasy Life, which the sequel, it's Fantasy Life I guess.
Yes.
The first game was a Switch exclusive.
Well, the first game was on Nintendo 3DS.
Yeah, 3DS.
I have played it. It's good.
So it's Nintendo exclusive, but it was on the Switch.
Yes.
And then they announced Fantasy Life I. Don't know quite what that means.
It's just a new Fantasy Life game.
They had announced that it was going to be a Nintendo exclusive. But just a couple days ago, it was leaked that PS5 storefront had it listed with a launch date and everything for like April 15th or something. Which, that's crazy. That's wild. As soon as the post went out, PlayStation dropped the storefront. But
yeah, that interests me because I think people are gleaning a bit too much out of the situation. I think people are seeing that and they're saying, "Wow, we're going to get all these Nintendo games on PlayStation."
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I mean, I saw a couple articles. Game Rant did one where the headline was something like Switch exclusives jumping ship to Sony. Jumping ship feels a bit much.
Yeah.
But it does say something when people who are like, this is going to be a Switch exclusive, those companies are like, maybe I don't want it to just be a Switch exclusive.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that happen before. The prime example in my head is Wonderful 101, which I believe was developed by Platinum Games, which has done a lot of different kinds. They've done Astral Chain. You wouldn't know that, but you know, they've done a lot of different games. Trust me.
I trust you.
They originally was on Wii. It was originally on Wii U, and they didn't like how it wasn't going anywhere else with Nintendo, so they did a Kickstarter to get a PC port of it off the ground. It happened. You can buy it on Steam now. So we've seen those sort of situations before. I think that's nothing super big. It's big in the sense that it's coming to a different console instead of just Nintendo.
The big thing is very rarely do you see a Nintendo game going to a different console rather than seeing a console game go to the Switch or whatever else. That's the really big thing.
Yeah.
Because, well, big thing being it was solely an exclusive when it was developed. I believe they launched it as one of their new IPs that year on 3DS.
Yeah.
Which ended up, you know, the big thing is their sequel game is actually being put on a different platform.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the studio that did Fantasy Life. Let me pull it up real quick because if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of like not necessarily like a super... Yeah, it was developed by Level 5.
Yep.
Which Level 5 has done a lot of stuff with both Sony and Nintendo.
Yep.
So, like, they've done the Professor Layton games. There's one apparently coming on Switch soon. We haven't heard about it since, like, a year and a half ago at this point. They've done the Yokai Watch games, which were Nintendo exclusive. There was, in the mid-2010s, Yokai Watch had, like, a semi-cult following.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly the extent of it, but I knew people that played it, so that's something. So, it's Level 5, which has worked with both Sony and Nintendo, so that makes sense. That's that game.
They're in a company that is poised and primed to split the market anyway.
Yeah, but I would not put any stake that we're gonna see.
We're seeing Mario on PlayStation. Just you wait.
Yeah, that's what I wouldn't put stock in.
Did you see, shifting gears completely,
Let's do it.
they reworked Donkey Kong.
Yeah, the redesign.
Yeah.
The Donkey Kong. What is there to talk about the Donkey Kong redesign?
I saw people on Twitter, X, flaming it, saying that this is an awful thing. You know, they actually changed Kirby's design between the Japanese and the Western release.
For which game?
Most of them. So Kirby in the Japanese releases, he doesn't have like the aggressive eyebrows, I guess. He's made to look more aggressive for Western games or Western versions of the release.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Which
the facial expression.
Yeah, the facial expression.
I thought of like Kirby with ginormous eyebrows when you said that.
No, there's not much you can change with Kirby. It's just his facial expressions.
The Donkey Kong redesign is like, I get why they're doing it. They're trying to separate it from Rare's design, which is sad to see.
Yeah.
They're trying to make it more like this movie design, which I believe this was all part of their plan. They soft launch with the movie, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Get out more games with this Donkey Kong stranger in it. What I'm curious about is how the other Donkey Kong characters will change, if they do, or if they even come back if they're trying to separate from Rare.
Does the design really feel that different, though?
I guess all we have is really zoomed in footage.
Yeah, zoomed in footage from the Mario Kart 9.
If I had to guess, he's still going to be recognizable. It's just the face, man.
He just kind of looks like a goober now.
The face looks very unserious.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He just kind of looks like a goober.
He, like, you know, I think of Donkey Kong, I think of big, strong gorilla. Yeah. You know, he's angry. People stole his bananas. He just looks like his head's empty in the new one. But, you know, old Donkey Kong, his head was empty too, but it was like angry empty. This one's just like a Dutz.
Yeah, like the one from the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just Seth Rogen.
Yeah, it's literally, we have just transitioned. The timelines have changed. It is now Seth Rogen officially as Donkey Kong.
And this is just step one. Eventually, like 10 years down the line, it won't be Donkey Kong anymore. It will just be Seth Rogen we're playing as.
Diddy Kong. I'm just sorry.
What's happened to Diddy Kong?
I don't know.
If that's what they did to Donkey Kong, what happened to him? That's what I want to know. That's why I'm more interested in. Because we haven't gotten a Donkey Kong game in over 10 years. They just re-released Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Which is a 2011 game, if I'm not mistaken. Tropical Freeze was 2014, and that got released on Switch first. And Donkey Kong's so big.
Yeah.
Like, it's big enough that they have this whole theme park, and they're making it the second stage of the theme park is they do Mario first and then Donkey Kong. But they're changing Donkey Kong. Well, they're not releasing any games.
That is the weird part. Is he such a recognizable figure for the franchise?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like you look at the monkey and there's King Kong and there's Donkey Kong and there's not much other monkeys on the market.
I think I would disagree, but my point would be mute because I can't think of anything else. I can't think of anything else.
Harambe is not a game character.
Is not a game character yet.
But he is a monkey on the market. Was on the market. I can't think of any other monkeys.
Yeah, we'll have to see. With the new Mario Kart, maybe it's just that game's style. You know, maybe it might just be that game's style, and that's completely fine.
I mean, I'm just excited for a new Mario Kart. Even if it's full of goober monkey.
I am too. And I doubt we're going to see it on the PlayStation.
Who
to
knows?
bring it full circle, I don't think we're going to see it on the PlayStation. I don't think we're going to see. But I think it's like interesting because what's the future of gaming on consoles now? You know, if Microsoft is dropping out and Sony and Nintendo are working together.
You know what I think consoles would do to improve? Just deliver them with a keyboard and mouse.
Okay.
And
please explain.
No, there you go. That's it.
No, that doesn't help.
That does help. They're mini PCs already. Treat them like mini PCs.
They're not mini PCs. They're gaming consoles.
Yes, I understand that. Just give them a keyboard and a mouse.
Why you can get keyboards and mouse for console already?
I know.
People aren't
shift the paradigm.
No one's going out to buy that.
If it comes with a keyboard and a mouse, the paradigm has shifted.
Like, so you want people playing World of Warcraft on their Xboxes?
Sure, go for it.
There won't be Xboxes anymore. So like PlayStation or whatever.
Yeah,
that's stupid.
No.
Who's buying a keyboard and mouse for their console?
Plenty of people, because they lock themselves to platform only, and then they play with keyboard and mouse, and they just troll everyone with a freaking controller.
So you're bringing up one of the main issues with having a keyboard and mouse being a main thing. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is already trying to like punish people that are using keyboard and mouse.
I know.
On the console platforms. So they're already doing that. Like. And also, most people buying consoles are playing it on the couch.
Yeah, Bluetooth keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, okay. So you're sitting on the couch.
Uh-huh.
You don't have anything in front of you except your keyboard and mouse. How are you holding it?
Well, yeah, with a lap pad, of course.
You're going to have the Sony branded lap pad.
Why not? Then you can have your Sony branded, armrest things and yeah. Can you see it?
You're rage baiting.
And then not only that, for the mouse pad, it's the ones with like the big butt cheeks as the holder. Yeah. It's gonna be Astrobot, and it's gonna be his Astro butt.
Yeah,
hanging out. That's what you set your wrists in.
Oh, that's good. I mean, that's good. You just swap the mouse buttons for the Sony buttons, the cross and the square and
the triangle. Yeah, easy peasy.
Oh, you're winning me over.
I know.
You had me at Astro Butt.
Shift the paradigm.
I think that's not the direction that consoles are gonna go in. I think what I foresee happening is not necessarily what I want to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be we're going to lose a lot of competition. I think
competition, schmompetition.
Yeah,
what other consoles are coming out?
I mean, it's going to be. Do you want Nintendo exclusives or do you want Sony exclusives?
I want the KFC chicken warmer exclusives.
What's the KFC warmer exclusive?
There's a Colonel Sanders game that came with it.
Are you making that up?
No, I think that's real. I don't think I'm making that up. Or maybe this is a Mandela effect.
Yeah,
Timelines are shifting. But
there was a time like many years ago where people were doing the gimmick consoles.
Yeah,
you know, like you had the what was the one rapper who released their own console.
Oh, Soulja Boy?
Yeah, the Soulja Boy console. That was a huge hit and has taken over the gaming culture as we know it. But honestly, now the gimmick consoles have all kind of faded away, and now there's a ton of like mini handheld PCs.
There was a game. It wasn't exclusive to the KFC console, but it released with everyone. It's called I Love You, Colonel Sanders.
I've played that game.
It's a dating simulator with Colonel Sanders.
I played it.
Yes.
I won over Colonel Sanders.
I knew my timeline was correct.
You were a bit off.
It wasn't exclusive.
It wasn't exclusive.
But they did launch with a game.
Yes, they did. I would love to see more brands do that, if I'm being honest.
I know.
It's funny for a bit.
It is funny.
It's funny for
I don't know what platform it was on because I don't think it was their own console, but
okay.
it was. I'm just saying, it had a chicken warmer in case you forgot what it looked like.
The gimmicks are crazy, man.
Yeah, I know.
The gimmicks are absolutely insane.
That was, yeah.
So
I don't even know where to go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about consoles, man, and you're talking about chicken, which is fine. Which is fine.
Oh, sorry. Let's wrap up this console thing quick,
yes,
and then
sure.
I got something else I want to talk about.
I think that we're gonna move to a space where like Nintendo and Sony are gonna be working together. And also, they're going to be doing their own consoles, but probably like Sony's like your high-end machine.
Yep.
Nintendo is your family-friendly on-the-go machine.
Yep.
And I think we're going to see that continue a lot in the future to a point where a lot of AAA devs are not really going to...
They come together, they form a massive Gundam, and they thwack Microsoft.
They don't need to anymore. Microsoft's already dead.
Well, you say they're dead, but you got to thwack Game Pass. Got a hit on the head.
All right, there is some crazy timeline out there where Microsoft buys up all the corporations and then secretly makes a new console and then rug pulls everyone.
Dude, they could call it the Xbox.
Just the Xbox. That's what it's going to be.
Just the Xbox.
Xbox
exclamation point.
No, it's going to be a minimalist just Xbox.
Yeah.
And so it's because it'll be like 5 years or 6 years after like the Xbox One S is dead.
What if they call it the Xbox 420?
That's the Snoop Dogg collab.
Exactly. They put a big weed symbol on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do that yourself right now. You don't need to.
No, but imagine it's official. Snoop Dogg comes out.
They can do it. I can see them doing it.
He goes, yo, ice on my chain, Xbox 420.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, they would load it up with some killer software. You see the developer direct? That was last week. I was going into it thinking like, it's going to be, whatever.
New Doom game.
Which is going to be good.
Doom Medieval.
The Dark Ages. Doom the Dark Ages. They're going for more of a grounded, like slower than Eternal.
Grounded. Still has a shotgun, and he has a chainsaw shield that he throws through the air.
Yeah. So it's still going to be fast. But Eternal was like you're jumping everywhere. This one they were saying like you're just gonna like stay grounded but be like super tanky and powerful. What I was more interested in was Expedition 33.
That did look cool.
So I thought there's a lot of gaming companies that say, or developers or studios that are like, as lifelong fans of this genre or this series, or we took inspiration from blah 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 blah. I don't buy it most of the time.
Yeah.
With the segment that I saw from the developer direct, I genuinely believe, probably for the first time, that these people actually love traditional JRPGs, and they're trying to bring it to the modern. Like,
yeah,
let's combine your look of your modern games, but also like, hey, this is like really a JRPG.
No, I watched the trailer and I didn't read anything about it. I just watched the trailer and I'm like, this looks really interesting. And then I saw it was a JRPG just based on the mechanics. I'm like, I'm still kind of interested.
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy because usually that happens, and then you cut out like 80% of people interested.
I know, but it just because the trouble with like JRPGs is the story's really good, the cinematics are really good, all that, and then you get into the gameplay, and a lot of people are like, gameplay doesn't feel like anything else of the game, right?
Yeah, people would say it's like slow or it's like boring. And I don't feel that way, obviously, but that's what a lot of people would say is that it's like it's not engaging enough for them. They're doing in this game, like they're combining turn-based combat with real-time action events.
Yep.
So, which is actually reminiscent of other games. Like I'm thinking of Mother 3, which had every time you attacked, you had to do a rhythm. You had to attack to the rhythm and to do more damage. And Super Mario RPG, funnily enough. Yeah. So I like those mechanics, and they're coming to this game, which I was already interested in.
And it looks really good.
And it's $50.
The only thing that would let it down is a bad story.
Yeah, that's true. We'll have to see. Yeah, but I was interested.
It's releasing soon. 3 months.
It's releasing in March.
So
I mean, that's soon. That's releasing in
2
March.
Months. Yeah,
for $50. It looks good, and honestly, like I'm confident that it'll deliver.
I'm kind of excited.
I'm excited. I think it'll be interesting to see how many non-RPG fans play it.
Yeah. I mean, is it just Xbox or is it PC too?
It's everywhere.
Oh, perfect. So you'll buy it and it'll be on
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Sure. So it'll be interesting though. I'm excited.
I'm looking forward to it. I watched the trailer a couple days ago and I'm like, this is pretty sick.
Do you remember the story at all?
No, I don't remember.
Here, I'll give you the gist.
Yeah, give me the gist.
See, because you said a bad story might, bring it down. Here's the opener of the story that they explain, right? So it takes place in like this futuristic Paris,
I saw
type stuff. It's the studio is based in France, so there's a lot of French culture in the game. Yes. So anyway, this giant creature falls in the ocean with a giant pillar with a number on it. And every year the number gets lower and lower, and then everyone that is that age or younger just dies. So if the number is 35, you turn 35, you're dead. You're cooked, You just disintegrate. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. You're out, right? You are part of Expedition 33, which the number just turned 33, and you're sent out to try to like kill this giant beast, right? And so everyone's got their own like, oh, this person died, or oh, like this tragedy happened to me. So it's a lot of people with different motivations coming in to fight like the theme of like how do you deal with loss? So that's interesting.
It is interesting.
So I'm excited.
I'm excited. This will be good.
You know what I am also excited for?
What?
I was talking about these 2020 games for Game of the Year. We're finally in the decade that we are currently residing in. The end is almost upon us of this Game of the Year series.
I know. And then we'll just be covering them as it happens.
Yeah, every year.
We'll go to something else.
So 2020, when I was doing my research, I did research into this one. Was a lot more stacked than I thought it would be. A lot of like hidden gems were actually in this year, which had me very excited. Now, I know what the conversation is going to turn into at some point during this episode. But I just want to say, good job, gaming companies, in 2020.
It was a great year.
And it might have been the best year to have a good year for games.
That's true.
If we remember world events happening in 2020.
That's true. It was great. You got Ghost of Tsushima. You've got Final Fantasy VII Remake, Last of Us Part 2, Doom Eternal, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Crash Bandicoot 4, Half-Life Alyx. Oh my goodness. Fall Guys came out.
Yep, Fall Guys.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I've poo-pooed on that many times. Whatever. Genshin Impact.
Unfortunate.
I mean.
Good for Genshin.
Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yep.
Resident Evil 3.
Like, Hades came out in 2020.
I know. I'm getting there. Okay. Star Wars Squadrons.
That was decent.
Valorant. That's crazy.
Wow. Valorant came out.
Mafia, the Definitive Edition. Cyberpunk 2077 came out with that abysmal launch.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Hades dropped. Neo 2. Call of Duty Warzone, which was big.
It was huge.
Watch Dogs Legion came out. Holy cow, that's crazy.
Came out. Period.
It came out. Ghost Runner, Spelunky 2.
I love Spelunky too.
Yakuza Like a Dragon,
which was super good.
It was super
good.
Streets of Rage 4. Oh,
which was crazy.
Speaking of Yakuza Like a Dragon, I'm actually watching a playthrough of it right now.
Okay,
it's fun. It's fun. Because I've watched.
When are you watching these playthroughs? At work.
Well, when I'm pooping, obviously.
Okay, that makes sense.
I watch an episode every time I poop.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's quite a journey for you.
It is. It's on like 1.5 speed, so I get it done sooner. But you gotta. Yeah.
Persona 5 Royal came out this year.
Crusader Kings 3 came out.
Yeah,
I did have it 100%ed when it came out. I did that over COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
There are so many. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Predator Hunting Grounds, Super Mega Baseball 3.
Oh, of course, Super Mega Baseball 3.
Lots of like the final like Walking Dead stuff came out that year.
Yeah.
Wasteland 3, Samurai Jack Battle Through Time.
Forgive me for not ever.
You have never heard of Samurai Jack?
No, I've heard of Samurai Jack.
Oh, okay.
Just not that specific 2020 video game.
Don't worry, the game wasn't very good, but it was a big news because it was a Samurai Jack game.
Yes.
It wasn't very good. But yeah, any other big ones you want to call out quick?
No, I mean, really everything has been talked about that I will talk about.
They were massive games.
Massive games. What was your COVID game of choice? I remember playing personally. I played a lot of Animal Crossing with a lot of my friends.
I did not play Animal Crossing. I can't get behind the Animal Crossing play style. I just can't do it.
Okay, that's fine.
But my wife plays it all the time, so no hating on Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
I played a heck ton of Valorant when it came out.
That's true. That's true. I did as well.
I also played a lot of Half-Life Alyx. I loved that game. It's so good. I remember, dude, I had just gotten, was it a Quest? Yeah,
no,
just the OG Quest.
Wasn't it on only the Valve
Index? Index. Yeah, sorry. I was playing it in my college dorm room because my roommate had it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was doing. And then I liked it so much, I bought it for PC so I could airlink it to my Quest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And how's that experience? I mean, you clearly like it.
Oh, I love it. The game is so good. Probably so far one of the best VR games to ever come out.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
And it was a Half-Life game.
That game didn't kind of spawn a lot more VR games like it.
Well, it did, just not from big companies. Mm-hmm. So Metro came out with a VR game that is also like on par with graphics and quality and everything else, but it's a Metro game.
Yeah.
And Metro, while being huge, is still kind of niche, which is sad because colloquially, Metro is seen as being like top 100 games.
Yeah.
Like Exodus, I think it is. I don't remember. But anyway, Half-Life Alyx is really up there on probably my 2020 game all time, although I did really love The Last of Us Part 2. I also really love Final Fantasy 7. So
really? You love Final Fantasy 7?
Yeah, my brother bought it, and I played about half of it, I think. And obviously I know the story and whatnot, but I think it's great. I loved it a lot.
Yeah, I'm currently playing through Remake right now because I got the dual pack.
It's got a lot of voice actors I really like. I was really big into Critical Role at this time. So it's got Matt Mercer in it. It's got not Liam O'Brien. It's got Travis Willingham in it. I think, does it have Laura Bailey in it?
I'm not going to know off the top of my head. I'm very bad.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I love the voice actors.
It's a good game.
Yeah, great game.
I'm playing through it currently. I have a note here that we'll go through fully in a different episode. But I was just looking at, because since 2017, I've been doing like my top 10 games of the year as it's happening. But my note reminded me this was when Among Us was big.
That's true.
Because it was 2020 and everyone was in their room.
Everyone was in their room.
So I played a ton of Among Us. Like, not like to the point of, okay, if you played Among Us in 2020, you weren't like an iPad kid. You were just like,
you were just playing Among Us.
You were just playing Among Us. So
I remember, locked in, having as many people as we could possibly fit in a lobby and just playing Among Us.
Exactly.
Especially for a game that like came out in 2018 and then just blew up in 2020 because...
Yeah. So honestly, big year for gaming culture too. Twitch was also...
Twitch popped off.
It didn't stay that way because of obvious reasons.
Yep.
But it was crazy when that happened. And I think a lot of the...
Yeah, wasn't it something crazy? Like Twitch was the third most visited site behind like... What was it? Something, Pornhub, and then Twitch.
And then Twitch, yeah.
Which is kind of wild. But that's COVID era for you, man.
Yeah, that's COVID. It's crazy. So, all right. I want you to actually share your opinions first on these games for 2020.
Absolutely. I think my game of the year, just based on absolutely mind-boggling industry advancements, would be Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah.
Like
I can't be mad at you for that.
I like the fact that it was nominated and got snubbed. Oh, let's talk about who won quick.
You're not gonna like.
I don't. So here's the deal. I don't hate the pick because I think the game's great. It just doesn't push any bounds in gaming. It's just a story.
I remember my feelings like it was yesterday. I was so pissed because I felt like it wasn't a pick for game of the year. I thought it was like journalist favorite
or like best narrative or something. That would have made complete sense. Sorry, the game we're talking about, in case you don't know, is The Last of Us Part 2 was chosen by the Game Awards and Hades was chosen by the BAFTAs.
Yeah.
Both
based BAFTAs, by the way.
I don't think I'd pick Hades though either.
I wouldn't, but it's just based compared to Last of Us Part 2.
That's completely fair. You talk about your opinions, and I'm gonna pull up the nominees.
Like, I don't understand how, because man, the backlash from the game when it came out was so big that should have disqualified it from people picking it, in my opinion. Like, even if all the if it's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and 0% fan review, I don't think that game or that movie should win any awards. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if the reviewers love it, and if that's the panel, then I guess they can make whatever decision that they want to make.
Yep.
But I just heavily disagree with it. I don't think, especially compared to the other games on the list, I think there are way better games.
So here's the deal. I think they snubbed so many games this year. This is a game of the year where I was really upset by the choices.
Yeah.
So obviously they had picked Last of Us Part 2. They had chosen Animal Crossing New Horizon, Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII, Ghost of Tsushima, and Hades. Those were their picks.
Mm-hmm.
They left out Half-Life Alyx. They left out a lot of the new FPS games that were coming out. Like a lot of big games.
Yeah, they were big. I think if I had to guess why they didn't put Alex on there is because they don't know what to do with a VR game.
They put in Best Game Direction, and they gave it so many nominations, but it was not nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah,
which it's like you have a complete VR game though, right? It's got full voice acting, full motion capture. It's got full world building, game design, narration, and not only that, was it fun to play, innovative. Like, I don't understand how it doesn't even get a Game of the Year nomination.
It's crazy.
It's bonkers. It is the best-selling VR game of all time.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, when I see the list that it chose, I can understand why it got snubbed. I don't agree with it. I think you could have taken one of those games off of there.
Yeah, I think the trouble is Ghost of Tsushima at this time was only a Sony exclusive.
I don't think that matters.
No, I know it doesn't matter, but the game itself, I love the game, by the way. I've talked about how it just got a remaster for PC, and they did a phenomenal job. Like, it's really good.
Okay.
But I would have taken Ghost of Tsushima off there and put Half-Life Alyx. Maybe I would have taken Animal Crossing New Horizons off.
I don't think you could have for the year, though.
But for the year, that's really tough. Like, if Animal Crossing New Horizon came out in 2019... it would not have been on a list.
Yeah.
But
all right, hindsight's 2020.
Yep. Literally.
Get it. Yeah. I think Animal Crossing New Horizons does not need to be on that list. In hindsight. For the year, it's like it was huge. It was a console seller.
It was a console seller. Like, people bought the Switch so they could have multiple worlds because you couldn't have two worlds on one device.
And not only that, I mean, you had people who were not into gaming at all that COVID hits. You're stuck indoors.
Yep.
What am I going to do? Oh, here's this Animal Crossing game my mom likes or my sister likes. Yep. Oh, boom. Suddenly 30 million more Switches are sold.
Yep.
And I forgot what the numbers for the software.
Nuts. It was nuts.
Absolutely insane.
I don't think so. I would take Horizons off 100%. But for the year, you can't really complain.
I can't blame them for choosing it.
Yeah.
But looking back, it's like, yeah, I would take it off.
Best game direction also went to The Last of Us Part 2.
See, I would take off New Horizons. I would put Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition on there. Personally.
Over Half-Life Alyx?
I haven't played Half-Life Alyx, and you haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles.
That's fair.
I don't know anything about Ghost of Tsushima, if I'm being honest as well. But from what I was hearing way more people talk about Tsushima versus Half-Life Alyx. That doesn't mean much. But
different genres of gameplay too. Though,
it's different genres, but it is very surprising that Half-Life Alyx didn't make the cut. I think if those games if one of those games wasn't on the list, Half-Life Alyx would have taken the spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm pissed about a lot of things that they chose because Last of Us Part 2 won a lot.
Well, yeah, it won Game of the Year, Best Game Direction, Best Narrative.
Best Game Direction's crazy, by the way.
Best Audio Design, Best Performance.
Best Narrative, Revenge is bad, but doesn't care about killing hundreds of people.
No, I know. And Best Indie Game went to Hades.
Good.
Which is good. I'm not against that.
I can't say that.
Best Ongoing Game went to No Man's Sky, which was great. Best Mobile Game went to Among Us. Community Game, Fall Guys. See, this... Oh, I remember why I was so pissed. This is the first year they came out with the best VR/AR game just to put Half-Life Alyx in it and not give it to the freaking and not put it in the Game of the Year. Yeah. Because they took away best VR/AR game awards in one of the years subsequently because they don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
It makes me mad because
they made a new category for that one game.
They made a new category just to shove Half-Life Alyx in it so it wouldn't be in the Game of the Year list. Which they literally didn't even do for the DLC thing they did this year. Yeah. Which I think they learned from their mistake, right? But if all games are created equally, don't make new categories for them. I think it's fine to have a best VR game, but best VR game should also be eligible for best game of the year.
I'm with you. And it's crazy because I don't think we're getting a VR game in the nomination for game of the year until the technology gets way crazier.
Well, it's so much effort to make a VR game that is good, especially when most people don't have a VR console.
Yeah, most people aren't sold on it yet. So,
Steam did the right thing. Valve did the right thing. They sold the Steam Deck, which was expensive, but they did it with one of the best VR games ever made.
The Index?
Yeah, the Index.
Yeah, not the Steam Deck.
Sorry, no, I meant to say Valve did the best thing with the Index.
Okay, yeah.
Especially since it was so good for its time. You put a stand up, it was full motion tracking.
I don't know what the deal is now with VR. Is it like the Quest 3 is the best VR?
Yeah, the Quest 3 is arguably the best for the price. It's $350. It's got full color pass through.
But people are still playing VR chat on it.
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
The whole I mean, now the new Batman game.
Yeah, new Batman game, VR chat. I mean, there's constantly new games coming out, but nothing that's I
haven't seen anything hit the mainstream
yet. It's not breaking out of the market, right? So Blade and Sorcery is really big. I see Pavlov clips all the time too. It's just the CSGO and VR and stuff. That's popping off a little bit, but it's such niche border things that are hitting mainstream because they're mimicking just PC games.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What's really big right now is these body cam games on UE5. Unreal Engine.
There's one
5.
called Body Cam.
Yep, there's one called Body Cam.
And it's the most realistic game I've seen because they have these filters that make it look like an actual body cam.
Yeah, it doesn't look realistic because it's photorealistic, but it's what your brain expects to see through a camera.
And it's freaky.
Yeah.
It's so freaky. If you want to convince grandmas across the country that something has happened, just put it in that game and then show it to them.
Absolutely.
They will believe it. And I'll believe it. And
so that's the thing that I think will break out VR is once they are able to do that regularly in VR and you can't tell the difference. What was it that just came out? The Apple Vision, the Vision.
Apple Vision Pro?
Yes. abysmal VR headset, right?
Yeah.
But there were so many people who got it and they thought it was goofy, whatever. And then you had all these YouTubers who are like, I'm going to wear it for a couple days without and see how I feel. And they're talking about how the pass-through is so good and the like AR technology is so good that you forget that you're wearing it.
Yeah.
Which once games get to a point where that is the standard, I think VR is going to blow up.
We'll see. I think
it just can't cost $1,300 to get there.
I mean, honestly, I think the main barrier to entry is the controls, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's what I felt every single time I've played. You know, you're holding these controllers and you have to point, and it's always seemingly a little janky.
Yeah,
and the buttons are unconventional, and which is fine. You know, it's a new technology.
Yeah, the tricky part is you have to buy like third-party software that help it. Like there's a new piece. Sorry, I'm really into VR.
No, let's
there's a new piece that came out. It's a chair that you plug your headset into, and when you turn your head, the chair moves, and so your body feels the orientation shift. And supposedly it feels very natural, and it's like it's super immersive.
Yeah.
Supposedly,
because it's the controls and then also moving around. Period.
Yep.
Pointing and clicking doesn't feel very good for movement.
Yep.
Joystick doesn't feel very good for movement in VR because you get. I know a lot of people get like super nauseous or car sick basically playing that way. If I think those are key issues, and if that gets addressed, then I think has a way bigger chance for not only for people to buy the hardware, but for developers to develop for it.
Yeah, it's hard to stop the nausea thing because there are people who are going to want to play in VR who are also prone to just getting car sick in real life. And it's like you can't solve that because you're physically trying to trick your brain into thinking you're in a moving car, right?
Yeah. I'm interested in seeing with the rise of AR technology, like all this stuff at CES.
Yeah.
Has been insane for AR.
I know. Like the what is it?
The glasses.
Yeah, the glasses. And then for like you can do these full, like, it's not paintball or airsoft, but it's like the digital one where you just stand in a giant warehouse and everyone's got the glasses on and it puts up barriers and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is super cool.
Yeah. There's obviously safety things that go with it. I'm excited for that technology because then I might start playing Yu-Gi-Oh again. And then I can do actual dual disc.
Yeah, you can just walk around and challenge someone who has the glasses on.
Yeah. So that's that.
No, I'm super excited for where it's going though. CES was really cool.
It was.
We could probably have a full episode on all the interesting things at CES.
Yeah.
Which happened just a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, it was recent. It was recent. But all this to say about VR games, Half-Life Alyx, unfortunately, is just ahead of its time.
Ahead of its time, fully snubbed. Shame on the Game Awards for making a new category to take Half-Life Alyx away.
I mean, I wouldn't put it as Game of the Year, personally.
That's fair. That's fair. And what would you pick if we're talking about it?
I think the best game that came out that year was a JRPG.
Which one?
Persona 5 Royal. Now let me talk about some highlights from the year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Hades is an obvious highlight.
Yeah.
Supergiant knocked it out of the park. Like literally changed their whole company. Now they're doing Hades 2.
Yep.
Crazy successful.
Yeah, literally go from indie game of the year to Hades 2 is now considered a AAA game.
Yes.
That's wild.
Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. So the context with that is like Xenoblade Chronicles was considered like one of the best JRPGs of all time.
Yeah.
When it was still on the Wii. So
that's fair.
I think you need to understand how like bad it looked because we're talking about a 70 to 80 hour game with tons of models, tons of textures.
Yep.
But you have to fit it all into a Wii size disc, right? The textures look, I don't want to say ugly, but they were definitely, honestly, I think Mario 64 looks better than
just super compressed
than Xenoblade Chronicles. Yeah, it's super like, you look at their faces and it's just like, a block basically. It reminds me of like GoldenEye for the N64.
Yeah, it's because they had to duplicate a lot of assets to save space.
But the story is amazing. The gameplay is great. It's not turn-based. It's like action. You stand next to them and you auto-attack and you do different skills and change statuses together. Super, super good game. Like, honest, again, before it came out on Switch, hailed as one of the best JRPGs of all time. Then It looks gorgeous on the Switch with quality of life update. And they didn't have to do much quality of life updates. It's more just more content, boss rush mode, all that sort of stuff.
Make it look nice.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was absolutely amazing. So I don't know how to fully convey that besides just saying like it has one of the best soundtracks ever.
Mm-hmm.
The story is really good even compared to modern stories in gaming today. And that was made in like 2009 or 10. Yeah. So could be 11, but I doubt it. So yeah, and that got a remake and it was awesome. And they didn't have to do it. They didn't have to. They could have just made Xenoblade 3, but they decided to put Xenoblade 1 in there. So that was a big highlight for me. And then Among Us was obviously a highlight, as I said before. Mm-hmm. I played a lot of Monster Hunter this year, too. I didn't mention this in the COVID games, but I played probably 200 hours of Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate.
Play a lot of Minecraft.
Yeah,
COVID.
Minecraft phase as well during 2020,
of course. Like 2 years Minecraft phase.
Yeah. But then Persona 5 Royal comes out, and I played Persona 5 in 2019.
Yeah.
Because Joker was announced for Smash at the end of 2018. So I bought Persona 5 for Christmas, played it for 12 hours straight Christmas Day.
Is Royal considered an expansion?
So it adds 30 to 40 hours of content. So that's an expansion.
To Persona 5.
Yes. To base Persona 5, which is already 80 to 90 hours.
Yep.
So when we're talking about snubbing, I think it's crazy that Persona 5 Royal was maybe mentioned in Best RPG and that's it.
Was it?
I believe so.
Hold on.
It might have been in Best Score.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case. I guess, I don't know. It's a DLC at the end of the day.
Okay, but Resident Evil 2 remake gets put on there.
I don't agree with that, by the way.
I know. That's why I think it got snubbed, because they're putting all these other games on here, and then they're not including Persona 5 Royal, which Persona 5 was a Game of the Year nominee in 2017, which no one even heard of Persona before 2017.
Yeah,
and then it gets announced as a nomination, right? So we talk about that. And then the Royal Edition, which is like by far the best version of the game, tons more content, tons more flair, like just a celebration of the original Persona 5, like, and then some.
Persona 5 was only Persona 5 Royal was only nominated for best role-playing game, which ended up going to Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah. So I thought it got snubbed. I think that's the best game that released that year. I think it is.
I can't agree with that. No, I physically cannot agree with that. Not with Hades and Half-Life Alyx and, dare I say, Last of Us 2. I mean,
you're trying to make me mad with that last one. I understand that.
Doom Eternal also came out.
Doom Eternal, all right, that's probably the real thing that got. If I had to be like realistic, I would put my money on Doom Eternal.
My list of things that should have won Game of the Year over The Last of Us Part 2 is Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy 7, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Half-Life Alyx.
Exactly. So I don't know. Like, what do you mean it can't be better than those other games though? You're saying like you can't say that because Hades came out. It's like, okay.
No, I was just saying that I don't think you should be saying Persona 5 Royal should have been Game of the Year
I'm saying it's the best game that came out this year. The best game that came out that year was.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah,
you have Hades, which I think is definitively probably better than just Persona 5 Royal.
How?
It's Hades.
How?
What do you mean?
Explain.
How? What do you mean how?
What makes it better?
Because it's an indie game that is not only complete AAA status now, just off of their first, they swapped their company for it. So there's a story, a legacy. That's great. They developed it right there, It sold millions of copies. It was innovative gameplay design. I think everything going for it. Persona 5,
right, hold on. Innovative in gameplay is where I'm going to cut you off. No, I've played roguelikes before.
It wasn't just a roguelike, though.
It was a great... All right, Hades is the perfect package.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Hades is the perfect package for a rogue game. And there's a reason why it did so well.
The trouble I have with giving it to Persona 5 Royal is that you are adding... I don't know how to say multiple tens of hours. You're adding multiple tens of hours.
It's not fluff, though.
Well, I understand it's not fluff, but the trouble is it's a JRPG, which really struggles to self-identify past several tens of hours.
Except that Persona 5 did exactly do that.
Persona,
it got people
Persona
never playing
5,
JRPG. Yes, Persona 5
Persona
Royal.
5 Royal did not get those people playing it all again.
Yes, they did.
No, go look at the sales.
Oh my gosh. So you know the sales?
Not off the top of my head, but I can
you're pulling out
guarantee
your
you.
ass here,
I
buddy.
guarantee you.
You're
Look it up.
pulling out your
Look it up.
ass.
I guarantee you that it struggled to sell the DLC.
It's not a DLC. It's a new
It's
game.
an expansion.
It's a new game.
It's an expansion.
It is a new game.
Look up the sales.
Right this second?
Yeah, right this second.
my
I need you to
gosh.
prove me right. No, this is gonna happen.
And so what? Please elaborate on what I'm trying to prove by pulling up these sales real quick.
Well, what I'm trying to say is a JRPG in and of itself, especially when you do DLCs or expansions, really struggles to self-identify those expansions because a JRPG often, to most people playing it, feels the same past a certain point. I'm not saying that's a knock against the game or the people who like JRPGs, but it does not appeal to a wide audience, if that makes sense.
Okay, so Persona 5,
Yeah.
3.2 million copies
Yeah.
/ units on PS3 and PS4.
Yeah.
PS5, and that was in 2017.
Yeah.
Persona 5 Royal, over 4 million copies on PS4, PS5, PC.
Yeah.
Switch and Xbox. It came on Switch and Xbox, by the way, in April 2023. Sold around 2.3 million copies on PS4 alone.
Okay.
So that's more copies than Persona 5.
Okay.
So not all those people are returning fans.
That's fair. I will take that L there. That's fine.
It's like it got people into JRPGs. All right, it was like when people are like, "Oh, I don't like JRPGs because the combat's slow." They get into the combat, you hear the song, you see the flair, you see the style that gets people engaged. It's dopamine shots for your brain. Every single button that you press, more than God of War could do.
I hear what you're saying, but Hades sold almost 4 million copies on Steam alone that year.
That's fine.
What I'm saying is your numbers are inflated because of it was 2020. Like people were buying it to play it because it was 2020. Like,
I'm sorry, wait, what are you saying?
Like, you can't say that, oh, it sold 1.2 million more copies than its predecessor in 2017 because it was 2020 when every game was doing buco numbers. Like, Hades sold 4 million copies on Steam alone.
Okay.
Like,
I'm still like, when did I say, what the heck are you talking about?
No, what you're saying is that
it was big. It's the biggest JRPG release.
No, I understand that. That's fine. It just
some people are going to say Final Fantasy VII Remake. That draws a line with me, but
I think
that's a different thing.
Well, it might be, but
yes, that's how I process. A turn-based RPG has never sold that well.
Failing to self-identify.
You are just trying to come up with reasons right now to not like Persona 5.
I don't dislike Persona 5.
To try to discredit it.
I think if anything was going to get knocked off that list, it would have been Horizons, and I would have replaced it with Half-Life Alyx.
If anything were to get
knocked off that game of the year?
I thought you said Ghost of Tsushima.
I take that back because I think about it and I actually really like that game.
That's what they would have done. That's what they would have done for that year, right?
Yeah.
You know, whatever. That's fine. I think the 2020 Game of the Year should have gone to Persona 5 Royal. And if not Persona 5 Royal, Doom Eternal.
Okay.
Because I think those were the best games that came out that year.
I can get behind that.
I don't understand why people are talking about Last of Us Part 2 so much. I honestly think it was a journalist circle jerk. I'm sorry. But
I don't want that to be Game of the Year, but I did enjoy it, and I enjoyed the story.
It is a fine game, but to say, all right, let me calm down. I'm an adult. The reason why myself and what I feel, a lot of people were upset at Last of Us Part 2.
Yep.
Is because it was...
Well, they just didn't like what happened to Joel.
Yes, a lot of people hated the game for that reason.
They hated that they killed Joel, and then the very next scene they have to play as the person who killed him.
Yes, a lot of people were upset by that.
Yeah. It was a great story about how revenge doesn't actually taste good.
Okay, yes, and if that's the main theme of your game, you're killing all these different people and not even mentioning it once. Like all the random enemies or whatever.
No, I completely agree, but you got to fill it with something. It's
Yeah,
like playing,
I know,
it's like playing Assassin's
but
Creed.
you don't address it in the game.
Well, I know, but it's like playing Assassin's Creed and being like, maybe the assassins aren't the good guys because they killed X thousands of British soldiers. It's like, no, you don't look at that. They're just the fluff for the game. You got to still look at the story.
Okay, but people are hailing it as like one of the best narratives in gaming when it came out.
Well, I think that it probably was close. I still struggle with it because I liked Last of Us 1 better. But it's the difference between Last of Us 1 was hope, and then Last of Us 2 is revenge doesn't pay.
Yeah.
Both I think are great story points.
I think the revenge is bad thing has been done so many times even before Last of Us Part 2
that's
came
fair,
out.
but Last of Us Part 2 did in a way where you wanted to spit that idea back in their face, and I think that was great.
Yeah, that's fine. You can make the gamers angry with your game, and I think that's completely fine. I just don't think it was as good as people are saying.
No, that's fair. That's completely fair.
I think it was overhyped immensely to the point where it was like, what the heck are you talking about?
No,
like,
that's fair.
Best game of all time, Last of Us Part 2. Are you serious?
No, I don't agree with that at all. I think
But that's how journalists were talking about it.
No,
and so
you and I have ragged on the journalists so much that we're not talking about the journalists.
But they're the one in the panel, which is what makes people upset about it. They are the panel that is choosing game of the year.
20% is still the audience, so.
Yeah, but it was like journalists were talking about it like it was the second coming of Christ.
Well, I know that. I get that.
And that's why but that's why I'm saying that's why you get such
fair,
a
but I
reaction.
still don't think that. I think that JRPGs across the board have always struggled with their identity because they are so long, and if you are not invested in it as someone who enjoys it, it struggles to identify to you as anything other than it's another JRPG.
So I'm going to call BS on almost everything you just said. So first of all,
you're someone who enjoys and recognizes those differences.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming at it as someone who up until recently has seen almost all JRPGs as very similar.
Mm-hmm. Because of the anime style.
Well, not just that. Because it's a hard barrier of entry because of how long each game is as a commitment.
All right, I say like, oh, I play this 70-hour game. I play this 80-hour game. Most JRPGs are not that long.
Well, I understand that, but most people aren't getting into the shorter ones because they're not mainstream. Like the ones that are mainstream are Xenoblade, are Persona 5.
Pokemon. People are playing Pokemon.
I don't really count Pokemon as a
Pokemon.
JRPG. It's Pokemon. That's what it is.
It's a JRPG.
I understand you call it's a JRPG, but it's Pokemon. If someone says I play Pokemon, they're not saying I play a JRPG. They're saying I'm playing Pokemon.
Okay, but everything about Pokemon is a JRPG.
Pokemon in and of itself is a game that has successfully self-identified. It is a Pokemon game. It's not a JRPG. I understand it is a JRPG in the umbrella.
And so where's the line between like when it actually self-identifies? When a toddler can tell, oh, that's a Persona game?
No.
Or is it when a guy who plays NFL can be like, oh yeah, that's the Wise series?
It's when Persona 5 Royal is just more Persona 5 and it isn't Persona 5 Royal, if that makes sense.
Okay, I don't know if that's a fair comparison because
it's the same reason we've talked about that Elden Ring DLC shouldn't have had anything. It's because it's a new thing. It's just more Elden Ring. You're gonna look at someone playing Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, and someone who hasn't played is gonna say, "Oh, they're playing Elden Ring." It's like, yeah, of course they're playing Elden Ring. You see someone playing Persona 5 Royal, they're just gonna say, "Hey, that's Persona 5."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it hasn't self-identified as something separate.
But it's not JRPG. It's Persona.
Well,
that's what people say. That's them identifying.
Persona 5 Royal has not identified itself as something different from Persona 5.
Okay, same way that CS:GO 2 hasn't identified itself from CS:GO. You just say, "Oh, I'm playing CS:GO."
Yeah, no, but I haven't talked about. But that's how people talk about games. I haven't talked about CS2 as a different game. People talk about, "Oh, that's Hades 2" versus "Oh, that's Hades."
No, they say, "Oh, you're playing Hades." That's what they're saying. That's
because
that's the series you're playing. That's how people talk about games.
But that's the series, right?
Yes.
But you can look at Hades 2 and know it's a different game from Hades.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's an identifiable
Persona 5 Royal
different
is Persona
game.
5 with 30 to 40 hours more content.
That's what I'm saying. It's not. It's the same. It's the same reason I wouldn't have included Shadow of the Erdtree this year.
Okay.
Like you can't. It's a double standard.
No, because Persona 5 Royal is a standalone release, right?
So was Shadow of the Erd Tree technically.
No, it wasn't. It's a DLC. What? You can't play Shadow of the Erd Tree without buying Elden Ring.
Persona 5 Royal, yeah, you don't need to buy the other one. But it's a definitive edition, right? It still sells as a separate copy?
Yeah, it's a separate copy.
Yeah, but you get Persona 5 in it.
No, it's not separate. It's like... it's literally like... I'm trying to think of any other example that has been done before besides Persona. And I know it exists. I know it exists somewhere. Because it's not like if you buy a definitive edition of like The Witcher 3 and it comes with the DLC installed. It's not like that.
Okay.
It's not like that because if you have Persona 5, you can't just buy the Royal expansion.
Well, then if you buy Royal on its own, but it's 30 more hours of Persona 5, isn't that also fundamentally breaking into the same problem that I'm talking about here?
I wouldn't say so because it changes the base game too. The dungeons are redesigned. The combat has extra features. It's not just, the base Persona 5 game is also changed and enhanced.
I mean,
so it's not, if you were to literally show me, and I'm a bad example. If you were to show me Persona 5 versus Persona 5 Royal, the same dungeon, I could tell you which one's Royal.
Yeah.
Based on the gameplay and the dungeon layout and all that. I'm a bad example of that. But it is like, it's a different game. If that makes sense. It takes Persona 5, it changes it adds 30 hours of content.
Okay.
It doesn't change it like insane, like the main story is still there. But it's a different release, if that makes sense.
Well, I guess the more you talk about it, the more I am like, yeah, it's definitely not something that would have ever been nominated for Game of the Year.
It's I'm saying because I don't, and I'm agreeing. I don't think it would have been nominated by the judges. Yeah. I don't think it would.
But you would have nominated it?
Yeah, because it's the best game that came out, because I have different standards.
No,
I would have put Neo 2 on there, too.
You should just say you'd pick Doom Eternal, and I'll agree with you.
I can't say that, because literally Persona 5 Royal is like one of the best games made, in my opinion.
I really struggle with, you have Persona 5 2017, and you have Persona 5 Royal, which you're saying is just an expansion / rework of the base game.
But yes.
That's
sure.
kind of how you were saying it.
Yes.
The dungeons are reworked. It's slightly expanded on the base game, and there's more content.
Yeah, 30 to 40 hours. That's a whole nother game.
Well,
and people said the same for
that's what I'm saying is I feel like you're holding it to a double standard because you like it better than how Elden Ring was treated.
No, because I think it's how you communicate it to your audiences. Shadow of the Erd Tree was literally a DLC to a game.
Yeah, but if they had released it as a separate game, I would have had the same qualms with it.
I wouldn't have. If you release that as a separate game, that's a new Elden Ring game.
No, because it's on the Elden Ring engine. They've literally done nothing other than add a couple new bosses and weapons.
Bro, Elden Ring is good enough where if they made it Elden Ring 2, it would get nominated and win. Even with the same exact thing. If they didn't change anything and made a new Elden Ring, it'd be Game of the Year again.
Let's see, I struggle with that because you're not doing anything. You're just capitalizing on the hype you had from your first game.
Yeah, but it's still the best game.
See, once again, this is where I differ. I would not have picked Shadow of the Erd Tree.
I wouldn't either, but that's more of my. And I see why you think I'm being hypocritical, but I don't know how to convey that Persona 5 Royal is a different enough thing from base Persona 5.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. You genuinely believe that it is a completely separate entity and deserves its own nomination.
Now,
I'm comparing it to an expansion or DLC.
So here's something that's going to make you think I'm stupid too.
Okay.
Is that I would never say play Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. I would just say just play Persona 5.
Okay.
You know? But it's such like it's also like, honestly, it's really for me just like, how is it released? Because if it's released like, if like, I guess if Shadow of the Erd Tree, if it wasn't a DLC, you had to buy a new game that included base Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And the Shadow of the Erd Tree stuff. That would make me that'd make me think about it.
Yeah.
And consider. If they changed the base game of Elden Ring 2, I would probably consider it like, that should be nominated for Game of the Year.
Okay. I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I draw your conclusions as incorrect.
That's fine. But as long as you understand what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying.
That's where we should probably leave it for now.
That's fine.
I think we can compromise on Doom Eternal.
Yes.
That's a great game.
That's fine.
And that should have won, honestly, compared to everything else.
We can meet at Doom Eternal, and I'm happy with that.
But Persona 5 Royal is like one of the best games ever made.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I can get behind that statement. Just not your other one.
So if it's one of the best games that
I think Doom Eternal is one of the best games that's ever come out.
That's great. I think it was a cutthroat year, and I don't dislike any of the games on the list. I'm more upset that Last of Us Part 2 won because it was overhyped.
I completely agree.
I think if one of the best games of all time come out, I think that should be Game of the Year.
That's fair enough. There were just the problem was there were so many of the best games of all time that came out. I do want to point out for any of you who are watching and have just had a visceral reaction to any of the comments we made, please tell us about it instead of holding it in, because we enjoy your comments and criticism.
Yeah.
There are specific people in my mind right now, but that's okay.
Okay. I'm sure that's probably an opinion that I'm going to get blasted for, but
I might get blasted. You never know.
I don't know. It's like it depends on
people
who you...
People might exactly
if the Persona fans find you.
I'm going to get murdered in the street by the Persona fans.
No, they don't go outside, so you're fine. But
I do want to step away from games for just a hot second.
Let's do it.
And talk about something in the box office that has made me really mad this weekend.
Let's hear about it. I know nothing about what you're about to say.
So this movie just came out. Okay, it's called Flight Risk.
Yes.
It's this action. I touched the mic. It's a Mark Wahlberg film, so you already kind of understand what it is.
Yes.
It's an action film. Okay, where they're trying to get this criminal or expat or whatever to his location. The big thing is all the marketing they did for it. The only person's face who's on the poster is Mark Wahlberg, right? They advertise it's a Mark Wahlberg film, all that. Mark Wahlberg is in it for maybe a third of the movie.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
He's the pilot. He's not the cop. He's not the criminal. He's the pilot.
Okay.
Who's not the main character or even the second character. He's the supporting role. He's in it for maybe a third of the film. And the wild part is all the marketing was it's a Wahlberg film. Okay. It got a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
It had a 5 out of 10 user score. Oh, and by the way, IGN gave it a 7 out of 10 because
it's IGN.
Because it's IGN, and it's either a 7 or a 10, and that's it. Sorry, they don't give 10s, a 9.5.
Yeah, my bad. Or your bad.
Yeah, my bad. So anyway, movie's not very well rated, whatever. But with all the marketing they did it as a Wahlberg film, it's number 1 in the box office this weekend.
All right, what else is out there right now?
There's other things, a lot of Disney films and stuff.
Okay.
But anyway, week 1, $12 million. Weekend 1.
I think there just isn't anything else to watch.
I mean, that might be fair. It's just crazy to me because no one must be looking at reviews. Because this thing is being review bombed like crazy. And it's number
not
1
bombed, it's just being reviewed honestly.
Sorry, yeah, it's not even review bombing. It's just completely honest review that it's bad. And people are going, I had a coworker at work today who his weekend highlight was telling us that the movie was the worst movie he has seen in years.
Man, he's not watching a lot of bad movies. That's why it's important to watch bad movies.
No, I know it's important to watch bad movies, but you don't want to go to a theater and spend money to see a bad movie. That's the tough part.
Nowadays when it's like $20.
That's what I'm saying. It's $20.
Yeah.
And you don't want to see a bad movie in theaters.
If you know it's a bad movie going in, it's fine. But like being disappointed from a $20 outing.
If people must have been disappointed. It's been getting awful reviews. So
yeah, that's hilarious. Man, there's been so many of like those action movies I've seen recently for like no reason.
Like what, Red Notice 2 or stuff on Netflix? Like
there's one called Carry On.
Yeah.
Where it's like I forget the actor, but it's like a bomb. Like half the movie is like you're literally sitting at the TSA chair with the guy, and he's on the phone with like his terrorist, being like, "All right, buddy, here's what's gonna happen. My guy in the red hat's gonna come up, and you're gonna let him through. Now, if you mess this up, don't forget about your wife, or not your wife, your girlfriend.
Yep.
And then he's like, oh, I'm going to try and save it. And he's like, and then the terrorist is like, nuh-uh, can't do that. And then shuts him down. That's half the movie. That's half the movie. I swear, it's crazy.
These like weird like action films are so prevalent right now.
They're doing well, though.
No, I know. I think it's because people are so PO'd with Marvel movies that they just want some taste of action.
There's nothing else really coming out. That's really? Like, is there anything?
Well, I'm trying to think. So like the trouble is last year there were so many movies that I thought were really good that did really poorly in the box office. And so I think people or studios are being really careful. Like Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare was one that I thought was super good. Now it was Henry Cavill. It was sort of espionage action film. And I thought it was super, super good. Very well done. A lot of high tier actors. And it flopped in the box office. But now you've got all of these like crap films coming out, and they're doing well, which really bugs me because last year has so many like good movies. Anyway,
yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll see what's coming out, but
not much
right now.
Not much, unfortunately. Also, I mean, there's obviously stuff coming out, but it's like nothing's really grabbed anything. A lot of horror movies are coming out right now.
I'm excited about a lot of those. There's
that's fun.
Minecraft movie.
Oh, there's the Minecraft movie, Mario movie sequel. Sometime. Legend of Zelda movies happening.
I did see that. Yeah.
There's
with
that
Twink Link
live action How to Train Your Dragon.
Which hold on 1 second. You said that. All the dragons in that trailer look so good. Don't get me wrong. Toothless doesn't look bad. But we're talking about the change that they made to like Donkey Kong. He looks like a goober. He looks like a goober dragon. All the other dragons, super realistic, super scary. You understand why everyone's afraid of them. And then you got Goober Dragon.
Yeah, it's just high res cartoon.
Yeah, it's literally like I don't know if you've seen this like really cringy hand drawn parody on YouTube for How to Train Your Dragon.
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's worth it, and I can't remember what it's called. But all the dragons are like fairly decent. They're kind of scary. And then you've got Toothless. There's a meme made about him. It's the dancing Toothless
that's
meme.
what it's from?
Yeah.
Oh, I know that meme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It absolutely goober dragon.
Yeah.
And it
just looks like that.
And it just feels like that's what they're doing here.
Okay. We'll have to see. I mean, I'll watch it.
Oh, I'll watch it.
Because it's the only thing interesting for movies for me.
It looks good. I'll give them that. I have no complaints so far.
I'm ready for new IP, personally. I don't know. All right.
Nintendo drop is going to probably have something new.
I was thinking of movies.
Movies drop. I'm just waiting for the Warhammer verse.
Yeah.
I know it's not like new IP, but it will be new IP.
You're going to be waiting like 3-4 years for that one.
I know production is starting this year, which means it's going to be
you're going to be waiting a while. Fallout
know.
Season 2 finished filming.
Yep. Arcane announced Welcome to Noxus. The new series is going to take place in Noxus with Mel. I don't know if you've seen season 2.
I need to watch it.
Anyway, so that's happening. I guess technically, I don't know if you consider that new IP, but it's all new characters, save for a couple.
Yeah. Well, I want new IP, but I also feel like it will just never do well at this point. Unless
I think it will. They just need to do it right.
Well, like all right, I should specify. I think like a Disney or Pixar new IP just won't do well no matter what they try at this point.
Yeah.
So
I guess I've just been so shafted by things like Wheel of Time. The show was fine, bad, bad bordering fine. Lord of the Rings stuff has been bad and okay is the best they've done so far. Like there's a lot of IP to tap into. Like Sanderson's books would do great as either animated films or whatever.
Yeah, I've talked about Red Rising.
Yep, you've talked about Red Rising. I think that Name of the Wind, Patrick Rothfuss would do really well. Or if you want some more like heisty films, The Lies of Locke Lamora would be really good. There's a lot of like really good IP that's big, right? These are like really big fantasy novels that are fairly mainstream.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on how you do it, because there was even that Netflix show. It was The Uglies, I believe. And I think that got a lot of backlash, but I think that was just because of how they executed. The series, because the whole thing is like...
Oh, I know there's a lot of teen girls that really love it.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot of YA books that are super popular that they could go into.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't even consider Sanderson YA.
No, he's like bordering.
Yeah. But there's a lot of like established IP in those books.
I think the big thing is just how badly they've been adapted. Divergent did so badly that I think the third movie was in theaters for 3 days and went to DVD. And then
I didn't realize that came out.
Yeah, they did all 3. And then you have Hunger Games. Hunger Games did well. Maze Runner. The first movie, everyone was like, this isn't like the book, but it's okay. I can see where it's going. And then they came out with Scorched Trials and Death Cure, and people were like, this is awful.
I didn't even see Death Cure. I like the Maze Runner books.
Yeah, I read the Maze Runner books. I enjoyed the movie because I was like, there are some things wrong, but you can't adapt everything from the book to film. And I was like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And then they completely went off the rails and did something completely different for the next 2 books.
Now, I will say there is some strong show culture right now in terms of you have things like Silo and you have, Severance. Severance and Silo have been pretty big the past couple weeks.
The trouble that I've had with show culture is unless they're forced by production or the director to stay at 1, 2, 3 seasons, they just like to keep going and going and going.
I think it's fine depending on the story that they're going to tell. I mean, would you cut a season of Breaking Bad?
No, I wouldn't cut a season of Breaking Bad.
Or The Walking Dead. Well, bad example.
The Walking Dead is a bad example. Like you look at Walking Dead, you look at Game of Thrones. These are shows that were absolutely gutted by them just keeping going.
Yeah. And Game of Thrones is like they kind of had to keep. Or they had to end it.
The trouble with Game of
Thrones, but the book wasn't out.
The trouble with Game of Thrones is I think if they had done that last season in 2 seasons, they could have done it better.
Okay.
So
they could have had their own ending. They just needed to make more sense.
Yes, it made no sense. It made absolutely no sense. So I don't know. Show culture's been really tough because the adaptations are.
Well, I'm not even talking about adaptations. I'm just talking about shows that are
show culture in general. You look at Suits. Suits went on too long. House went on too long.
Yeah.
I think these are very legitimate complaints.
Yeah. Grey's Anatomy is still going.
Grey's Anatomy is still going. It could have ended after, I don't remember what season people think it should have ended, but whatever. These shows are killing themselves off, right?
They're still making money though by having new seasons.
I know.
It's just the overall quality of the show.
But you're ruining your long-term legacy to make some more money. Why not take the money and success you did and then do from the creators of Grey's Anatomy new show? You know, it's like what they did with skip it because I don't remember the name, but
great. All right.
Anyway,
I'm ready for the BroadBoys adaptation.
Me too.
TV.
There's a whole lot of drama in the backgrounds that could be really well adapted to film. Netflix, I'm looking at you.
The story of No, it's just Boys.
Boys
is what it's titled.
The Boys.
No,
that's
Boys.
The show. Just Boys.
Just Boys. Anyway, thank you for making it all the way to this episode of Boys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to hit the bell. Let us know what you think about all the things we talked about in this episode. I'm sure there's no strong opinions that could be had about anything talked about in terms of 2020 game awards specifically. So, have a great day, y'all. See you on the next one.
Peace.